Our first presenters are from SK Pharmteco, and they are a 2025 CDMO Leadership Award recipient. That's a really big deal, and I'm going to tell you what that means after their presentation. Joining us are Pavla Matek, Director of Business Development for Analytical Services, and Shankar Sankaran, Executive Director for Analytical Services. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Diving right into SK Pharmteco and what we do and what our capabilities are. As an organization, SK Pharmteco is committed to supporting our clients to deliver life-impacting medicines. Our clients and customers are developing breakthrough therapies, state-of-the-art, new technology, new medicines that really we are enabling to help get to the patients as quickly and as effectively as possible. And so our goal is to be kind of the most trusted global partner in the delivery of these medicines. SK Pharmteco is part of a large global organization, SK Inc., with a presence across the globe, whether that's in Asia, in Europe, or in North America. As a contract organization, our pharmaceutical services really focus on small molecule API delivery, cell and gene therapy delivery, and what we'll talk about today are analytical services. Our goal, and what you'll see as you work with us, is that we want to be easy to work with. We'll work with you in whatever phase, whatever mode, however much or however little engagement you need to make sure that we're enabling your testing technologies in our facilities. Guaranteed delivery, we want to make sure we're turning around samples on time, we're getting your methods in place on time, we're effective communicators. You'll see that across our project management, project leadership team, integrated sample management across the facilities. So each of our analytical facilities work seamlessly with one another and with external partners to ensure that your samples are getting to us and from us if we're shipping out. And we have specialized capabilities and advanced therapies and specialized testing that we'll talk about here over the next few slides. From a capabilities perspective, across the organization, we've got 125 plus experienced analytical chemists. All of our labs are state-of-the-art and CGMP compliant, and we have across each of our projects, each of our sites and teams, a dedicated project manager that will ensure that we drive your project to its completion from start to finish. We provide reliable testing and accurate and timely deliverables for every stage of development, everything from early phase, first in man studies through as you progress through the clinical phases, phase 1, 2A, 2B, and phase 3, and gearing up for commercial testing across drug substance and drug product, and phase-appropriate method development, validation, and transfer to go along with it for raw materials, intermediates, APIs, drug product, and everything in between. All of our analytical facilities are well-versed in the compendial methods across the major pharmacopoeia, and we have our kind of biggest offering here is our geographical advantage. We have small molecule and cell and gene therapy testing capabilities both in the US and in Europe, and you can engage with any one of our teams to enable your project based on a location that makes sense to you. Okay. I talked a little bit about our facilities. So our primary small molecule analytical facility is in El Dorado Hills, California, and Rancho Cordova, California. That site is about 13,000 square feet from testing everything from small molecule raw materials, regulatory starting materials, all the way through intermediates and APIs, as well as drug product. It has technical support that for testing oligonucleotides and peptides as well, and is working in the antibody drug conjugate space on the warhead linker side of an ADC. It has drug product testing capabilities from a solid oral, injectable, topical drug product testing capabilities. And then most recently, over the past 3 months, we've significantly expanded our stability storage capacity with a 40% increase in storage capabilities to support any ICH stability studies and even custom conditions for stability studies. And we brought online a new high potency API lab last year to enable a lot of the work that we're doing now in the high potency space and the antibody drug conjugate space across the country. On the East Coast, we've got our Pennsylvania facility that supports cell and gene therapies. It's a 30,000 square foot facility that supports AAVs, lentiviral vectors, and adenovirus therapies, cell therapies, as well as gene-mediated cell therapies, and help support all of the inputs going into the manufacture of these therapies as well, raw materials, supporting biologics testing, and the characterization qualification of reference standards. And we have similar capabilities across the pond in Paris at our gene therapy testing site there, 8,500 square feet, providing kind of the same analogous services to support our European customers. As I mentioned, we support you from every clinical phase, whether this is the first in human or even preclinical, first time synthesis, testing, characterization, method development, stability studies, et cetera. And so we'll provide phase appropriate method development, qualification, validation across the modalities. Nitrosamines and genotoxic impurities has been a big focus. I'll talk a little bit about that here in another slide on the small molecule side specifically. Extractables and leachables that support both small molecule modalities as well as our cell and gene therapies, stability studies. All of our sites are enabled to support stability studies across early and late and commercial phase clinical programs. Release testing, raw materials and excipients testing, a strong team for characterization, both on the cell and gene therapy side as well as the small molecule side. Reference standard management and advanced capabilities that I'll talk a little bit about, whether that's advanced mass spec techniques or sequencing and bioanalytical techniques on the cell and gene therapy side. Diving into our small molecule capabilities, we want to make sure, in addition to a focus on kind of technical capabilities, that we're ensuring a high quality, safe, and compliant deliverable and project management approach. From the small molecule side, what that means is we're really focused on kind of the technical and quality aspects of the services that we provide, from a very strong analytical development team that works on complex methods across clinical phases, across testing platforms, whether that's kind of simple single impurity method development to very complex multiple impurities, complex molecules, large molecules that you require kind of advanced separations, advanced development, advanced mass spec characterization techniques. Joining with our analytical development team is a pharmaceutical release testing team that's really set up to do release testing across all APIs and drug products, as well as supporting intermediates and RSMs along the way when needed. The team provides both release testing capabilities, confirmatory testing capabilities, and everything in between. And then a stability studies team and a reference standard management team that's really designed to support you on the back end for kind of continued clinical studies, continued commercial studies, supporting stability studies across drug substance and drug product on the small molecule side. Then everything in between, whether that's nitrosamines testing from developing novel NDSRI methods to routine analysis of the typical small molecule nitrosamines, NDMA, NDEA, et cetera, raw materials and excipients testing, extractables and leachables testing to validate your packaging configurations, and then material science and characterization, whether that's impurity characterization or characterization of your API for filings and regulatory documentation. And just to be clear, we're well versed in the impurity control APIs and drug product perspective. We follow all the kind of core global regulatory guidances, have the capabilities to support everything across the way, whether that's synthetic organic impurities using chromatography primarily, right? HPLC, UPLC for control of impurities, elemental impurities using ICE-PMS and ICE-POES. Residual solvents using Headspace GC, and then a bigger focus, of course, on mutagenic impurities and using advanced MS technology, whether that's MS, to support that testing. We have all of the technology in-house to support any testing needs you may have. This is just a kind of a comprehensive list of what we've got in-house to support small molecule. From there, I'll turn it over to Pavle, who'll talk a little bit about cell and gene therapy. Thank you.
Thank you, Shankar. Just continuing on, and some of this has already been mentioned, as it pertains to the cell and gene therapy capabilities, there are two main sites that we do our manufacturing and testing in. So the King of Prussia site, which is 30 minutes north of Philadelphia, and then our France, Paris site. As Shankar mentioned, but just to reiterate, we are viral vector manufacturing experts, so AAV, LVV, Adeno, a number of cell therapy programs, and GMP suites. We have built our facilities from the ground up with the aim of having designated testing rooms and space. We have a comprehensive range of analytical capabilities. And as a result, we have invested a lot of effort in the last 3 years in redundancy as it pertains to platforms, equipment, training of our teams. Just to highlight, our team in the analytical development and testing group comprises over 70 individuals, researchers, scientists, and analysts. We have a designated team that will help you with your cGMP release testing, or an AD team that will work with you to develop a method, work with you on tech transfer, or rapid analytics to support your PD testing. So phase-appropriate validation, qualification, and transfer, we know how to do very well and can assist you at any stage of your program. A synergy that I want to highlight with some of the capabilities that Shankar described in terms of the small molecule capabilities is really this raw material excipient testing, extractable and leachable testing. So now we have that added capability in-house under one roof, as opposed to you potentially going out and looking for an external provider. I think Shankar mentioned the really extensive stability studies, room space, and capabilities, and then obviously reference standard management. Now, one of the things that we really invested in was really getting online a number of platform assays. And so this effort's taken about 3 years. There are a number of advantages for you as a customer, which is that everything's in-house. It's a platform asset that's validated, that's ready to go. And you don't, again, need to look for a third external partner. What I'm showing you here are a number of just kind of at a granular level assays that we've brought online recently. So these are platform assays that are going to aid your characterization and release of your product. And by no means is this list extensive, but some of the things that are now online and live, for example, are our RCAV and RCL testing, our adventitious agent panel of testing. We have a designated microbiology group, genomic identity and advanced sequencing capabilities, and then obviously potency measurements, which are now all platform-based. So what that means for you as a customer, we have direct control of testing schedules for you and can work with your timelines. Now, in addition to that, I think phase-appropriate validation, qualification, and transfer and support through that process is critical, and we take great care. We have a number of teams that will guide you through that. We will work extensively with you. Our AD teams would be very much engaged in really catering the analytics to your needs and the stage of your program. So to your right here in the red box, you can see how we can engage with you and what expertise we have in-house. As I mentioned, a number of platform assays, a number of safety assays are online. We have a number of stability indicating purity methods that we can execute on. And then we're well versed in and have available the compendial test methods, whether that's USP or EP. A good example is, what we can do and have been doing in the past is we would validate a method in the US, transfer it to our site in EU, and then have the product released there. So those are all options that we can suggest and create a timeline and a way forward for you as a customer. Finally, I think product-specific custom assays is something, again, in the realm of our AD teams, tech transfer methods. It's something that we do all the time, specific customer assays, product-specific assays. And one of the feedbacks that we constantly receive in that respect is really that we're an easy to work with provider, right? And I think we place great pride in that description. So what I'm showing you here is just an example at potentially a more granular level of how we would engage at the tech transfer level, depending on your needs or stage of development. So for example, if you have a tech transfer or a method, we would obviously perform a gap analysis and provide you with a verification report. If you have an assay that would need additional optimization, or you're thinking potentially of switching platforms or adjusting a platform, again, we could guide you through that process and what that would look like. So we would design an optimization plan, perform the runs, and again, discuss the data afterwards. A good example is if you need more sensitivity or accuracy in your PCR-based analytics, we could potentially suggest that you move from one platform to another that will give you that. Another example is that you don't really have an assay designed. You might have a mechanism of action. You might have some knowledge of the pathway. We could also engage at that level and then work with you, for example, to develop a potency assay. And all of this goes, towards the final goal, should you engage with us there, of, qualification and validation of that method that you could then use for release testing, stability studies, and also reference standard qualification. So just to summarize here, SK Pharmteco has a global presence, advanced technologies. The analytical portfolio, right, not only supports the in-house manufacturing, but also functions as a standalone external testing business. So if you can engage with us only at a testing level, or you can also manufacture with us if that is your need. I think in that regard, I just want to highlight a couple of presentations coming up tomorrow. Our colleagues will be covering the small molecule manufacturing capabilities. And then I believe on Thursday, Perry, I think our colleagues will be highlighting some of our cell and gene therapy manufacturing capabilities that we have. And with that, thank you for your time. And please, if you're interested, reach out to us either through these QR codes or directly through our website, skpharmteco.com. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. You're correct, Pavla. You are small molecules tomorrow, cell and gene on Thursday. You'll have somebody at both of those. We have a question from an audience member regarding biologics testing. Do you have the capabilities for functional testing of pre-filled syringes and auto injectors?
For biologics testing specifically, we don't have that capability in-house. We typically don't do kind of post-formulated device product auto-injector testing in-house. Okay, fair enough. Question about cell and gene therapy. Rapidly and ever-evolving guidelines, often done in collaboration with the innovators. And how do you stay current on that so that you can support regulatory compliance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what SK Pharmteco is doing proactively is to engage with the various industry groups and decision makers and regulatory bodies. So SK Pharmteco is a member of Bioforman Forum, to name one. This enables us, to monitor trends and challenges. We have an internal regulatory group in-house that also keeps and monitors these new regulations. Some of our sites are actually used for the FDA to train their staff on technology platforms. And, we are also actively engaged, for example, with USP and other regulatory setting bodies, whether that's through, sitting on their panels or actively, being involved in product or guideline development in the labs.
Yeah, really, it's an interesting and rapidly moving part of the industry. This is kind of cell and gene related too, but so has your experience and expertise in small molecule analytical testing translated well into testing for that supports cell and gene therapy?
I mean, I would say yes. I think in terms of method development, qualification, and validation, they kind of transfer very easily. What we can offer nowadays from for a cell and gene therapy customer, we can leverage, I think this has been mentioned by Shankar, particularly strong stability program, raw material testing, extractable and leachables, which is not, which are not tests that cell and gene therapy CDMOs usually have. We now have that in-house. A good example is, let's say you have been making a buffer for your cell therapies in-house for a long time, and are now deciding to switch, or you would like to know more, the composition of those buffer in greater details. We can actually offer that method for you in-house, test your buffer while you're working on other aspects of that cell therapy, for example. And that's all done in-house.
Really great capabilities. Thank you both for your presentation today. Pavle Matek and Shankar Sankaran from SK Pharmteco. Thank you very much for being with us today.